Talk to Four Corners director Ian Gabriel about it. Ian, it does look like quite a topical issue that you've chosen for this movie. Tell us a little bit more about it. We've gathered that it is about gangsterism on the Cape Flats in prisons. Why Four Corners? What does that have to do with the entire movie?
Well, Four Corners is the Sabela name. Die Vierhoeke it's the name for a prison cell. In the film, we also talk about the rules of chess dictating how people live their lives in situations of stress, and that's the four corners of a chessboard. There's also four separate story threads in the film. Four different characters whose lives all converge around the coming of age of a young boy named Ricardo. And the film is essentially about Ricardo. And it deals with, it's not only about the gangs, that side of life, but it's also a celebration of life in the Cape Flats.
So, is this based on true stories, Ian? Have you sort of spoken to gangsters? Have you spoken to people affected by this on the Cape Flats to get this movie together and get these stories out?
We did an extraordinary amount of research. We were in research and writing for 6 years before we started casting and finding locations, and that took another year, and then we finally shot the film. So we spent a lot of time in the communities dealing with people who were affected by these kinds of stories. So it's an amalgam of various stories, but it's very true to life.
Is there a message, or what is, obviously there is a message, what is that message that you're trying to send out with this movie?
Well, the film is, it calls for people to make a strong choice, especially young people to make choice. It says that life is not about destiny, but about choice. And the final words of the film, the young boy says, you can't stand still, you have to make a move, you have to make a choice in life. So that's really the message of the film.
What is it that moviegoers might be surprised about with this movie? Is there something that might give us a better understanding of the life of a gangster and maybe some empathy for them as well? Would I find myself maybe on Thursday night getting a better insight into that and then finding myself better understanding the life of a gangster?
I think you might watch the film and get a better understanding of the environment that produces gangsterism. And that's one of the things that I think is very important about the film, is that, gangsterism doesn't exist in isolation. It exists because the conditions are right for gangsterism. And therefore, you can also say that the conditions are right for society to get involved to change those conditions. I don't think it's a remote problem, the issue of gangsterism. I think the whole of society needs to deal with the issue of gangsterism by bringing investment into marginal areas like the Cape Flats. When we made our film in the Flats, we trained people, we gave people jobs. A lot of that became an antidote in a small way to gangsterism at that moment. And that's really what small businesses in South Africa need to do. We talk about investment from outside the country. Well, we also, as a country, need to invest in our own areas in South Africa, in all marginal areas of South Africa.
All right, so more than just a movie. Thank you very much.
By telling stories, by investing in businesses and so on.
Thank you very much. The director of a film, Four Corners, Ian Gabriel, opens on the circuit. That will be tomorrow night, Thursday night.
You deserve to know more.
eNCA.com